Welcome back to Judge of Character, the show that looks at various interpretations of comic book characters and decides which one is the best one. Today's character up for judgment is Aquaman. In the beginning, Aquaman suffered from the same personality profile as so many early superheroes. They weren't fleshed out characters, they were just inescapably good and wholesome. Although very early Aquaman stories did have him fighting U-boats, so at least it's pretty cool that he was fighting Nazis. However, since those early days, the character of Arthur Curry has had some changes applied to his squeaky clean good guy persona. In the 90s, he received some more edginess because, well, everything did. He grew a beard, he grew his hair long, and most famously, he lost his hand, which is something that has happened repeatedly to the character on different occasions. Speaking of which, in terms of his look, there is a debate over which is the best imagery for the character, and that's a tough call because even the great DCAU had him sporting two completely different appearances. But now, delving deeper into his personality, sometimes he's portrayed as a King Arthur type, regal and stoic. Other times he's more approachable and even funny, like in the current DCEU where he's played as sort of a bro type. And further still, what are his opinions on the surface world? Because sometimes he's seen as a child of two worlds, wanting them both to unite in harmony. Other times he acts as a very stern ruler who favors the sea above all else, and actually hates the surface dwellers for always polluting the waters, and he could care less about the plights of land unless they affect the sea. Oh, and also, let's talk about his powers, because in the early days, yes, he straight up talked to fish. Nowadays, it's rationalized more as telepathic suggestion, pointing out that fish really don't have the mental capacity to talk like humans do. But then again, there are also other times where he is totally mind-controlling sea creatures. And speaking of which, what sea animals can he control? Because sometimes it's just a normal sea life fare, with some aquatic animals even being able to resist his command. Other times, he has the ability to control fictional sea monsters from the deepest depths of the darkest oceans. But now, finally, on to the verdict. First up, the issue of powers. While I really do like him suggesting things to sea animals rather than puppeteering them, I do also really like the idea of him controlling fantastic fictional monsters. And I can't see monsters going along with Aquaman just because he mildly suggested something. So, I'm just gonna go with both. I would prefer he normally suggests things to fish, but if he really needs them to do something, then he can force them into it by controlling their mind. Next up, how does he feel about the surface dwellers? Well, I prefer him being a man of two worlds. And no, not just because I am a filthy no-good surface dweller, but because it's really hard for me to justify him joining the Justice League if he's all about the sea and hates the land. And finally, on to the big one. In terms of his personality, where do I stand? Well, I'm going with the DCEU Aquaman. I like him as the comic relief of the Justice League. So many people already view the character as a joke, so why not just run with it, instead of either forcing Green Lantern or the Flash into it. Now as for me, I don't mind him being a total dude bro, and I actually think that Jason Momoa is doing a fine job with the part. But the biggest thing for me is that Aquaman has suffered from bad PR for so long, and if DC really wants to make him more appealing, then making him more of an asshole isn't the way to do it. However, giving characters a sudden boost with their sense of humor tends to be a great way to elevate their fandom. It worked for Iron Man after all, and if making Arthur Curry a server type is how you get there, well, so be it. Oh, and I also like the combination of looks that Jason Momoa has been sporting in the Aquaman movie, with both the old costume mixed with the long hair and beard. So there you go, my verdict goes to the DCEU. But what are some of your favorite interpretations of Aquaman? Let me know down in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe right here to Dave Knows Comics. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, Dave knows.